advocating for yourself is something we all have to do. We like to trust our doctors and believe in them, but you got to look out for yourself too.
It is preventable, and we really have to get serious about it because it's not, the numbers are getting worse as the stress gets worse, as the obesity gets worse, the high blood pressure. It's truly a silent killer.
This gentleman, Mark Eric Johnson, we are going to hear a story that is going to, I already know, I read it, I haven't heard it, but it's going to leave us in a high impact note. Mark, it is an honor, a privilege to present you in this real talk. What do you have to say, my friend?
Thank you all for having me here and inviting me to share my story. I never really imagined the situation I was in on 11/22/23, the day before Thanksgiving. My history in life is, I played tennis like every day. I started losing weight like 10 years ago, so I was like 210 and I was down to 185. I improved my eating habits over the last 10 years, and you know, I had no idea that on that day I had experienced this life-altering experience, I guess, because that's what it's been so far. And ever since I had my heart attack, I've tried to share every week through social media my experience. Whether one week I do just a post, and then on the day, I have a weekly anniversary. It's Wednesday. Uh, I'm coming up on my 18th week of survival, and that's how I look at it. And I feel very blessed. And quick background on myself. I was a mental health counselor early in life, so I used to take care of individuals with chronic mental illnesses, living with chronic mental illnesses like schizophrenia. I enjoyed that career. It was just totally, just fun, and it was just good to help. So, I watched last week's broadcast, and and when I see about women and and feeling repressed over time over life, I was a kind of like a friend to women when I was growing up, and I had a lot of women friends because I always wanted to inspire them to be self-strong. I never could understand why anybody wanted to be in relationships that put them down a little bit and they didn't see it, and so last week listening, I'm like, yeah, I felt bad being a man almost because, it's just not, I don't understand. We're all equal and we all have a purpose. And my heart attack story, I guess that just became a real passion, passion about it now. And I'll just share it real quick. So, like I said, on 11/22, it was a normal day. I was doing my chores, and on my way back from one of my chores, I was driving and I had my dog in the car, and I just broke out in a cold sweat. I mean, this serious cold sweat. And I was like, phew, and I started feeling it, and I didn't know what it was, but I felt a pain in my heart. And it's just important that everybody recognize, and I Googled a lot since my heart attack, some of the symptoms that you might experience when it might be a heart attack. I had no idea cold sweat meant that at the time, but I found out later. Yeah, you break out in a cold sweat out of nowhere, it could be a heart, and you have pain in your heart, it could be a heart attack. So anyway, I'm a person of faith, and I was driving home, and I passed two ambulances pulling out, and I really thought about stopping there and getting out and have them check me out, but I had my Xena in the car, and I said, no, I got to get home, and I'll do everything from home. So it was about a 4 mile ride, and being a person of faith, I was praying along the way that I would keep myself safe on the road and get home, and maybe this thing would pass. I didn't know it was a heart attack at the time. 55, played tennis, serious tennis the night before. No pain, no nothing. My cardio was good, so I'm not thinking heart attack. I'm 55 years old and just not thinking that yet. And so I drive, and thank for God, I made it home. And I was thinking I might have to call somewhere. So I came in, I changed out of my wet clothes. I mean, it was soaked. I put on comfortable clothes, and I'll be honest, I have a good tolerance to pain growing up, and the pain I was feeling was seriously it was serious pain, and it was generating right from my heart. But still, I'm like, nah, it can't be a heart attack. So a few minutes pass, I'm still in pain. There's about an hour span here where I was from the drive to home to me eventually making the phone call for 911. And I did do something when I came home. I just in case it was a heart attack, I popped a couple aspirin. I recommend everybody have aspirin in their house. And what I've learned is 325 milligrams is the optimal dose that you should take. And I learned that you should chew it. So those are a couple tips that I learned along the way. I didn't chew my first dose, and it was only 2 little baby pills. So I didn't know the exact dose, but I took some aspirin. So anyway, I took that, and I was squirming around. I went to lie down, and I had my dog with me, and she was keeping me company. And then I'm like, nah, I better not lie down. I don't think lying down is a good thing. And I think a thought from my dad came, those who lie down die. So I don't know what it was about, but it came to me, and I was like, so I got out of bed, and I went to the kitchen, and I did get down on my knees, and I did pray. And I have a mom, that I love. And when my dad passed away a year or so ago, I told him I'd take care of her. So I did ask the Lord. I said, I need to live, take care of my mom. And I feel he probably did hear me. I'm strong faith all my life. And I went back into the bedroom, and my lady friend has a blood pressure machine. I never take my blood pressure because it's always good when I go to the doctor's. I have all the good numbers. My latest blood lab for this year was good. I had my LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, is 100. So I'm not on any medications. I don't. Everything says I'm a good, healthy person, but not at that moment. So I did put the blood pressure machine on, and I'm grateful I did, because my blood pressure was normal, but my pulse was 40. And I was like, nah, 40 is not good. Even in my best shape ever, I'd be lucky to be at 60 for a normal pulse. And here I'm in serious pain, and there's no way. No, 40 is not good. So what did I do? I called 911, and I'm glad I did. And from there, I ended up meeting the ambulance down outside my house at the road. And I was there when they opened the door, and I said, yeah, I'm having a heart attack. And so they let me in, put me in, and I'll tell you, consciously, my biggest goal of the whole deal was let me step back. I had to call my mom. And I told her, don't panic. I'm having a heart attack, I'm pretty sure. That was a tough call. And my lady friend Colleen, she was at home, which was like 30 minutes away, helping set up for Thanksgiving dinner, which is going to be at her parents' house. So I had to call her too. And I did those 2 phone calls after 9/11. I called 911. And you know, my whole mindset was just to stay conscious. I did not want to go to sleep. And, you know, my mental health background, I'm also a life coach that I got certified in this last year. And all the things that I've learned in my life about mental strength, um, not panicking. I'd never panicked. I just kept a steady focus on being conscious. So when I was in the ambulance, I talked to the people, and they even asked me if I wanted some fentanyl. I'm like, I don't know about that, but they explained why a small dose would be beneficial, so my heart wouldn't work so hard. So I took a small dose, and the ride that I told them where I wanted to go. Our local hospital is okay for some things, but I knew the right hospital to go to, so they took me there, which was like 45-minute ride. Um, but it was the right place to go. And so along the way, they gave me some more aspirin. They told me it was okay because you know, I hadn't chewed my other ones, and it was just a couple more small doses, which got me up to like, you know, 325. So I was at the dosage, and theirs was good. I recommend if you get little baby aspirin or aspirin, get the chewable orange flavor. Uh, Not bad. Doesn't it's tasted good. Because I don't know if you've ever had other aspirin, but chewing bear is not fun. Um, but so we're in the ambulance, and the lady's like, your heartbeat's dropping. And I'm like, just thinking really hard to keep my heartbeat strong. I was thinking all the things I could think of to stay strong with my heart, praying along the way. But you know, just focusing my mind. I believe the mind is very powerful, and you know, it can overcome a lot with positive thought and consistent thinking. So, you know, I played sports all my life, so it's, you know, the mind. You can be a great athlete and a horrible sports player, you know, if you don't have a strong mind, especially in tennis. Tennis is a totally, we all have the similar skills, but it's our mind that makes the difference between us and another guy in some matches. So you know, anyway, I'm cruising in the ambulance and I'm focusing. And funny story is, she's telling me it's dropping, and I'm looking at these 3 little levers, and the one that was scaring me, turns out it wasn't my pulse, it was another reading of some kind. But it kept me it really motivated me. So I kept my pulse above 40, got to the ER, and where it's a special cardio ER. And you know, they took me in, but instead of sending me right up to the OR room, there was a doctor there who didn't believe the girl who read my EKG in the ambulance that I was having a heart attack. So I had another 5-minute, 10-minute wait in getting checked out, and the pain in my heart, it subsided a little bit, but then about after they took my x-ray, and I don't know, she just didn't want to believe. And I heard the lady in the ambulance, she was saying, he's really having a heart attack, I'm serious. And but the doctor didn't want to believe her, I guess. I don't know why. So I had to go into the special room first. And about 5 minutes later, they're like, yeah, you are having a heart attack, you know. Great. Yeah, and I said, can you get me where I gotta go? Because the pain is coming back, and it's I don't know. I never felt pain like it, and I wish nobody feel that pain. But they got me on a gurney and they took me up to the OR. And the last thing I remember about that situation was there was a gentleman on my right, and he took my arm and he put it in this thing, and he looked at me and he says, "You're gonna be all right." and that was the surgeon. And then I went out, and I woke up about 2 hours later. No pain. I kind of felt like a new man. And I guess what they discovered was I had two arteries, pretty much almost 100% clogged, 99% in my left ventricle. They put two stents in, one in each artery, and that took care of the pain. I felt really good, and and then the next part of the story is it's all about the recovery after. I've never taken meds. I've never needed meds for anything. So when the next day I noticed they had written scripts for like 5 meds, and they don't tell you why, what they're for or anything. Here, just take these. And I don't know. I'm just not a just take these things kind of person. So they ended up bringing the cardiologist down, not the guy that did my surgery, but his partner. And he explained things to me. And I says, well, I don't have a blood pressure. I never had a blood pressure. And he was putting me on a big dose of blood pressure medicine. I mean, the self-advocacy you have to have with doctors is something that I did it for my dad when he was in his situation. My dad had Alzheimer's, and, being in a couple months in a nursing home, we had to do a lot of advocating. It's just in my mental health career, I had to advocate for others, but advocating for yourself is something we all have to do. We like to trust our doctors and believe in them, but you got to look out for yourself too. So I did, and we're at 4.5 months later. I took all the meds that I was prescribed loyally. One of them was Lipitor. They put me on the highest dose there was, and guess what my LDL is at this stage? Well, their goal was 50, and I had insisted, maybe diet might help me to get it down there, but my LDL is 14. So I got a text the other day after that from the doctor's office saying, we're gonna cut that to Lipitor to 40. And I had seen in the other blood work that I had some serious liver damage going on. I mean, I don't know. It would affected 3 different things in my blood work that are all about my liver, and they were the charts normal here, and I'm way over here. So I had actually decided to cut that dose to half before they even reached out to me. And so there's where we're at. I prefer, my goal is to take as few meds as possible. Now that it got me down to 14, Dr. Roni's here, and I'm thinking that the eating healthy, I don't know if you all familiar with For Life, but they had a cardio product, and I ordered that, and maybe Dr. Roni can share a little bit about that particular product and how it can help our heart. It's just it's been a wild trip, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to share the story, and just try to inspire you all to have aspirin in your house. If you feel like you got a heart issue, something going on in your heart, reach out, call 911. Don't be shy. Share this message with everybody. Chew that aspirin. And if you don't, the best thing to do though is to be preventative. And I didn't tell you, but my dad was a veterinarian, and he practiced for over 50 years, and he practiced preventative healthcare for pets. And I really believe that's what we as humans need to do as well as we can. And that's just being aware. It turns out, although I knew my dad's side of the family had heart disease and died of heart attacks, turns out my mom's father, he really had the heart issue, and it was at a disease. He had heart problems at age 55, same age, and he was in Hungary, and they didn't have quite the medicine we had, so he got the nitroglycerin pills, and you know, he lived to 69 before he had a heart attack and passed away. But he had a hard life, and I've had a softer, easier life. And just want you all to, I hope, and I'll take questions. And I really had a question for Dr. Roni and Dr. Romunda that, about those products and what we can do to prevent health issues.
You know why that story is so profoundly sad to me is that I don't think people understand when you say every minute somebody's dying of a heart attack. I don't understand why people don't think that is so alarming when you can prevent heart attacks. So if you can prevent heart attacks, why is it still so high? And for me as a healing professional, that is just so sad. And I don't even understand why you were so smart not to go to sleep. Do you know that that is the one reason why people die? They go to sleep. They go, oh, the cold sweats, I'm good now. The cold sweat's gone. Oh, my heart is painful, but you know what? I think it's indigestion. So let me just, get something to drink and go to bed, right? That's what they do. So you were smart not to go to bed, okay? Because I want to tell you, the heart is a muscle. Many things can happen to that muscle, okay? So you had plaque, but a lot of things can happen. I'm talking to you guys out there. A lot of things can happen to that muscle. He had plaque, but you can get a virus. You can get an infection, bacterial infection. You can have stenosis. The muscle can start to die. There's so many things. You can have stenosis. You can have a valvular problem. So there's a lot of things that can happen to that muscle. And that's why it's the #1 killer. All right. But the saddest part, which I'm going to go back to, is that these things, most of them are preventable. And, and I told you, a couple times already that I'm writing a book on the 5 highs. And let's talk about the 5 highs, because every one of those highs that I'm going to tell you about lead to a heart failure condition. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, high obesity, high sugar, high stress. All of those things can cause heart failure. And you want to know the other thing is that there's a lot of chronic signs. Like you were considered a healthy heart attacker. You were healthy. So don't let that mislead you guys, because you can look healthy, but it's all, and we've said this before, it's all about your blood work. A lot of allopathic doctors don't do the right blood work, or he would have known that that plaque was developing in his heart. Something happened here. Okay. All right. So along the way, it starts developing. You start having signs. You may not ever feel those signs, but it's up to your doctor to be able to take the right test to say, you know what? Your values are not the same as it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Let's go in and take a look at your valvular system. Let's go take a look at your vascular system. Let's do some stress tests. And the other way that you can tell that someone's having heart issues, and I see it a lot in my office, because if I see someone with edema of the legs and they're shiny, I say, oh, do you know you have edema? They go, what's that? I says, your legs are not supposed to be shiny like that. They're not supposed to be puffy, and I'm not supposed to press on it, and it's not supposed to dent in. Have anyone told you about that? No. My blood pressure is good, doc. My cholesterol is okay too. No one told me about that. And these are all signs. And then I said, well, do you exercise? And have you ever exercised and then you get home and then all of a sudden you break out in a cold sweat? Yeah, but I thought that was normal. I said, well, do you test your heart rate? Is your heart rate ever really high and you feel it pulsating? and then sometimes it's low. Yeah, but I thought that was normal. So these are all signs of chronic signs that no one's talking to you about. And that's why the heart attack and the heart failure rate is so high. But every single one of those things that I just mentioned, they're all preventable. But no one's talking about it. And there's a lot of things, a lot of things. I'm going to even just give you 10 things that you should always do every single day. 10. But there's even more than that. Like I always say, guys, this is simple. Avoid processed food. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, we're going to talk about what does that mean? I'm going to give you 10 things to avoid. Avoid processed food, avoid trans fat, avoid sugar, avoid smoking, avoid chemicals, avoid preservatives, avoid high stress, avoid gaining weight too fast. I didn't say gaining weight. I said gaining weight too fast. I just saw somebody in my office the other day. She said, well, I just gained 10 pounds in 1 month. I said, why? What are you doing different? That's a lot in 1 month. Okay. So is it sugar? Is it salt? It's something. So avoid sugar, avoid salt. I didn't say avoid sodium. I said avoid salt. I don't even know if I said 10 or not, but I'm just saying that these are just some of the simple things that you should do every day. And let me tell you one more thing, and I'll let Dr. Romunda go on. Do you know that a lot of thin people that look good have bad hearts? Bad hearts. And those are the ones that you'll see that you'll say, oh, they're very healthy. So let me just do the normal blood work. But everyone today needs integrative blood work that goes way beyond what the allopathic doctor does. You need a naturopath to work with the integrative blood work physician to be able to tell you all the things that you need for your vascular blood flow. And thank you so much for talking about the aspirin. But I want to tell you that, baby aspirin works, but you cannot do that chronically because, this is what I do. I do the cardio formula. I don't have heart disease, but I do the cardio formula because the cardio formula is prevention. I do the 4-life essential fatty acid. That is prevention. I do the Rio Vita, which I love. It tastes delicious. It's prevention. All of these things create what's called a healthy vascular flow. I do enzymes every time I chew food, especially if I'm going to eat things that are tough to break down. That's prevention. So, and it's for me talking about heart disease and heart failure. The reason why it's so sad to me is because it's preventable. It's preventable, guys. A lot of it is preventable.
Yeah, that was a great share, Dr. Roni. Yeah, it is preventable, and I guess that's what's inspired me because as I read more about all this, and it was only 2 months after I had my incident that my friends lost their brother who was 50 years old, police officer. He passed away at work in his office all alone. He had a massive heart attack. Turns out that he had ignored the symptoms and the signs that after they talked about things, he was taking Tums and Rolaids, and
Yeah.
he didn't have a chance. He died in his office at age 50. And it was massive. They couldn't save him if they had wanted to because his problem was so bad. But he's one of the people I didn't, I try not to have survivor guilt because
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. You never think of, the people that survive a disaster. And I'm like, well, I survived my heart attack.
That's why you got to keep telling your story because you survived, but you can help a lot of people with your story because just with what I just said, a lot of people don't understand. It doesn't even occur to a lot of people that it's preventable. A lot of doctors that will tell you, if you get any pain at all, just go and take that aspirin. Look what you did. You did that, right? And so, and a lot of people don't realize that their everyday lifestyle is creating a bad heart. You know, I said it's a muscle. The one thing that we need to give that muscle is nutrients and oxygen. And if you're having clogged up plaque, how could you get the oxygen there? How could you break down the nutrients? At some point, that muscle fails. In your case, you were unaware that the plaque was building up. It's not your fault. Along the way, you should have had some care along with your allopathic doctor. If he didn't know, if she didn't know, then you needed to be working with a nutritionist or a naturopath. And I hope one day I'm still around, I'm still alive when the allopaths and the naturopaths are married in one office.
Hallelujah. Because I'm finding out, dealing with my cardiologist, they don't even there's no other alternative than the meds, you know. I would think it'd be a blend would make a perfect you know, marriage for care. And you know, the Lipitor, you know, do you think I'm curious because now that I got so low, I'm like I want to get off of that and I want to try my eating properly. I totally not doing 20 grams of saturated fat. My friend Colleen, we read those white labels on the back now.
Yeah.
And,
Well, you got to do cardio, and you got to do, you know, fish oils. You know, that's what essential fatty acids are, omega-3s and enzymes. Hopefully you're on the enzymes because it's the enzymes that helps to clean up. And one of the things that you got to do at night, because this is my healthy aspirin, nattokinase. And I talk about nattokinase a lot, or serepatase. Those are enzymes that doesn't break down your food, but what it does is help to keep you preventing the plaque or cleaning up the plaque. And you take that at night on an empty stomach. That is your healthy aspirin. Do it every night.
Okay. And is that something that's in for life? Is that a product that they have or no?
Well, no, the enzymes are in for life. They don't have nattokinase. Now we get into more medical, but
okay,
you could still take that with the enzymes. Now, see, the enzymes that For Life has is to keep you cleaned up when you're eating, right?
Right.
Just remember, those enzymes are very, very important. Then at night before bed, you want to do just that nattokinase. I tell all my heart patients to do this, okay? So take the For Life enzymes for food, because it helps you to break down your food, help you use your food for energy, and keeps you from building up that plaque. At night, if you take the nattokinase at night, before you go to sleep, it's impossible to have a heart attack.
So one of the things, hey everybody, well, is truly well. So one of the things I'm listening again, hearing you all talk, Doc hit him from that point. I'm going to hit you from the point of how much do you take your time and chew your food? A lot of times we are guzzlers to eat. So you can do all that.
You busted me.
Right. See, because I'm listening to the conversation, but we never got to how do you take your time and chew your food. We never got to the part of do you drink along with your meals when you were eating your foods. You see, these are things that you can go to your doctor, you can do all the things that you just said, but if you don't understand, if you're not digesting properly, your body's not absorbing properly, you're not going to eliminate properly, what you think is going to happen? Because you're not taking time and chewing your food, you're not allowing the enzymes. That's why you have to take the digestive enzymes to break your foods down for you, because you're not taking your time chewing your food and letting the saliva of the enzymes break the foods down for you before you decide to drink. See, if you take your time and chew the food, the moisture of the food is already getting what it takes to break down before it gets to your gut. So because your gut is dispenser, it's like a dispenser, it gives everything what it needs to have. But if you diluting it by drinking it, your body's not getting anything but dead waste. That's how you become the malnutrition, because your body's not getting proper nourishment. Not only that, CoQ10 is a heart enzyme that the heart naturally produces. So that's why it's good to have foods that also produces the CoQ10 inside of it as well. I'm kind of leery about the aspirin because aspirin becomes a blood center and also thins out, eats the wall like an acid. Anything with word acid does what? It eats out over a matter of time. So you have to be careful with that, because then it becomes leaky gut. Then it becomes wonder why you have internal bleeding. Nobody can ever find it. Then you, at the end of the day, you look at sepsis. If you think about it, you got 805 people, 805,000 people in USA have heart attacks. Out of the 605 first heart attacks, the 200,000 are repeated, are appear to have people who have already had heart attacks. Now, if you're looking at the heart attacks of 800,000 people, just how many people in 800,000 never took time to take time for themselves to enjoy their meals? Or they got a stress environment day. You see, stress only triggered by what? Depends on whatever emotions you are going through. So you got to look at what emotions were you dealing with during that time that you was going through that. Were you rushing? How was your day? Again, how did you sleep throughout the night? You see, so all these things affect. How is your kidneys? Are your kidneys flushing? Is your liver? You're talking about all these things, but understanding your bowels is a circle of waste, and it dispenses out and it clogs up the arteries, and it causes the arteries to be plaqued up. So you got to look at all these things. Like you just said, I'm listening to the conversation between you and Doc, but I don't hear you saying, oh yeah, I take my time and chew my food. Oh, I've been that person. Or I don't drink along my meals. If I drink, my sip, not guzzle. I don't, and I drink a lot of cold beverages. Those are things that are trigger hard clogged arteries. You see, people, if you go to a restaurant, what is the first thing they give you? A cold glass of ice water. And what do? You take your time, you drink that whole cold glass of ice, not realizing it's restricting the muscle from what? And then it's free, it's cold. Then you get it's cold in the body. So now you're looking at all this stuff hardening up. That's why they invented cold and hot. Everything has its purpose. Cold water has its purpose, hot water has its purpose. So when you're drinking hot, you need to get rid of things for those things to move. When you use cold, you want it to stay right there in that place. So if you're drinking something consistently always on a cold, what do you think is happening to the arteries? What do you think is happening to your blood vessels? Why do you think you have the pain? Why do you think there's swelling? Why do you think there's blockages? You see? So those are the things that you have to understand why we have the heart attacks or the stress or the kidney issues, the liver and the gut issues. It's because of what goes on internally. What is our body taking in, and what is it being stripped of? Because when you're on medication, it strips the body of nutrients that it needs to have. You're already doing a good job by stripping it, because you're not giving it body what it needs, but because you're diluting everything. So if you're on medication and this stripping, guess what? You're not putting back what's been stripping from your body to make your body rebuild itself back up. And that's what a lot of people miss. We miss that because of we don't take that time to enjoy what we have in front of us. Bad enough what we're eating is not good, because like Doc named, processed food and all these things. But even if you're going to eat the processed food, it's dead, you're killing it even more. You're not bringing it doesn't have any life to it. You just killed it even more. So being careful with those things and being mindful of those things, that when you're drinking along with it, just think about what temperature the beverage you're drinking. If you drink along with it, just think about if your saliva, if you think about food, your mouth automatically start watering up. Why do you think your mouth automatically start watering up? It's the mechanicalism that your body is saying, a dopamine that's dropping, releasing it to your system. Okay, we're about to start eating. But it's thinking it's getting something good. But what you give it? You give it something processed, something dead, what I'm saying, that it can't really break down. So when your body, you put it in your mouth, you're like, ooh, that tastes good. Ooh, that feel good. But not realizing your organs be like, well, what about me? You all happy, but I'm starving. You see? So your organs are crying. That's why it's called pain. That's why it's called tear ducts. Because when you're sad, your organs are sad, they start crying. You see? So your organs like, and you be like, I'm hurting. And the pain of the organs just, you start releasing. Or you so prideful, you don't want to show the pain, but you bending over and holding that pain. But internally, you're crying, your organs are crying. That's what the tear ducts are trying to release, because of how we treat the internal organs that we have.
And all jokes aside, it is preventable, and we really have to get serious about it, because it's not, the numbers are getting worse as the stress gets worse, as the obesity gets worse, the high blood pressure. It's truly a silent killer. And it gets you before you can even, you were very lucky, but it gets most people before they can call 911.
I want to say Dr. Roni was right. I think I shared in a small group with her, and she said, oh, I had signs. And it was about a week before. this that I had the little bit of like feeling of indigestion, and
Mhm.
and I was able to. It only lasted like 10 minutes, and I didn't have the cold sweat. It was just that
Mhm.
it went away, and
Mhm.
Heartburn, indigestion, GERD, gas. People
you know,
think, they got gas. Be like, oh, you just got gas. You just full of gas. And,
Fatigue.
gas can make you feel like you're having a heart attack because gas bubbles go back, circulate up. You
right.
see,
Right.
and so when it's circulating this block, it's pushing that pressure up on your heart. If you ever thought about looking how the internal organs are actually functioning inside of your body, you would be
Right.
amazed. But people don't want to know that. It's like, hey, I'm gonna just dress it up and keep on moving. I don't need to know what they
Mhm.
look like or how they work. I'm just good that way. But that's what we're missing because the Bible speaks highly how we perish and destroy because of the lack of knowledge. We choose not to receive things that are good for us. But if I hand you a bag of chips, you'll take them all day and just love on them. But
Right.
we have to reverse how our priorities are when it comes to for our internal well-being and get to know
Right.
your internal. Stop worrying. You got the outside looking whatever, fine, but focus on that internal. That's the
Mhm.
key of your wellness right there is to focus on that internal.
Right.
And everything else will look sexy.
Well, what a great evening. I want everybody, specifically tonight, to give a big heart to this conversation and to Mark. We have shared his community on the chat, so make sure that you go to that bit.ly and click and love and share, because what a great story. I had a story with my brother. We almost lost him this year also to something similar, but I think there's so many stories that if we all unite our voice, we're going to get it out there.